Good morning. Can you guys hear me? Um, Looking at media partners. Make sure I got the nod, the thumbs up. Okay. Thank you all for being here. As we close out 2025, I want to speak directly to the people of this great city, beginning with this simple truth that Colorado Springs is flourishing and that we are flourishing together. This year has not been easy. We have navigated economic uncertainty, budget pressures, complex challenges that, believe it or not, they do not come with simple answers. And yet, because of strong partnerships, disciplined leadership, and a shared commitment to the well-being of this city, I'm proud to say that we have made remarkable progress in 2025. You see, in 2025, we didn't just talk about strategic doing priorities, we delivered on them. So today, I want to highlight 10 accomplishments, 10 milestones that reflect real outcomes for the real people of Colorado Springs. So think of this as Colorado Springs Countdown, the top 10 wins of 2025. Okay, number 10, we made major strides in mental health. Suicide rates dropped 18% across El Paso County and an extraordinary 60% among young people. This reflects the power of connection, prevention, and community-driven support. It shows what is possible when we choose to care for one another. Number 9, we expanded compassionate homeless support. So we recently raised $860,000 to expand winter shelter capacity and launched a pilot with Mountain Metro Transit to provide free rides to warming spaces during extreme cold. This is what it looks like when a city decides that no one should be left out in the cold. Number 8, we expanded attainable housing options. I am talking about 1,700 homes serving families and seniors, and young people are open or underway. These attainable homes, they strengthen affordability and give our residents a chance to put down roots, build stability, and strengthen connection to the community. Number 7, we strengthen our local economy. Just in the last week, Swire announced a $470 million investment to build a new state-of-the-art manufacturing facility at Peak Innovation Park. This project is expected to bring 170 good-paying jobs and support more than 1,000 construction jobs, solidifying Colorado Springs as a leader in advanced manufacturing. And this week, Opus announced Forge at Peak Innovation, a $63 million project that would bring new commercial activity and private sector momentum to our region. These investments, along with 4 additional economic development agreements this year, really help advance opportunity, strengthen affordability, and write another powerful chapter in the Colorado Springs economic story. Number 6, Colorado Springs went international. For the first time in our city's history, COS Airport launched direct international flights to Cancun, Mexico. This milestone expands travel options for families, support local jobs, strengthen our economy, and opens the doors for new visitors and business opportunity. Number 5, we continue to invest in our infrastructure. Across the city, we repaved 107 lane miles and repaired more than 74,000 potholes, creating smoother, safer routes that connect people to work, to school, to parks, and businesses. And beyond the routine maintenance, we delivered a major infrastructure projects, most notably circuit bridges, along with social infrastructure like the new Colorado Springs Senior Center, reflecting our city's deep commitment to our growing senior population. Number 4, we implemented technology to accelerate our safety efforts. In addition to our real-time crime center and our drone as a first responder program, this year, speed safety cameras are coming online to support our existing red light enforcement programs. Technology tools designed to protect our neighborhoods, school zone, and critical corridors where safety matters the most. Number 3, decreases in crime, which means safer streets and safer neighborhoods. In 2025, our public safety strategies delivered measurable results. If you remember, this year was a year of data. Overall traffic enforcement increased by 28%. School zone enforcement up by an extraordinary 213%. And at the same time, robbery is down 8%, burglary is down 19%, murder is down 38%, and motor vehicle theft is down an impressive 42%. Beyond these numbers, these results demonstrate that our public safety strategies are working, and it reaffirms our unwavering commitment to making Colorado Springs one of the safest cities in the country. Number 2, we opened Fire Station 24, and thank you to all the neighbors that came out to celebrate that grand opening with us. And by the way, this is one of the biggest neighborhood safety wins for us this year. This is a state-of-the-art facility that is fully staffed, fully equipped, and strategically located in one of the fastest growing areas in our city. And the impact is already clear. In just the first 3 months of service, Fire Station 24 has improved response times in that district by nearly 3 minutes. And the number 1 win of 2025, I'm looking for the drum rolls, but you don't have to give me drum rolls, the number 1 win is a historic year for public safety. And here's what I mean. For the first time in our city's history, the Colorado Springs Police Department briefly surpassed 800 sworn officers. We currently stand at 769 and steadily climbing towards our full strength of 839 officers. And it's not just our sworn officers. Our 911 call center reached its highest staffing levels since 2018. One of the things I heard on the campaign trail was, we got to improve our response time. And I'm pleased to say that priority 1 response times has improved from 15 minutes this time last year to 11 minutes today. And here's the thing, these wins did not happen by accident. They reflect the dedication of Team COS employees and the collaboration of our partners, the creativity of community leaders who come to the table, and the trust our residents believe in our city. This year, our city has also had several notable national rankings that affirm our quality of life and our economic momentum and our shared values, including being the number 5 best performing large U.S. city by the Milken Institute, an extraordinary 10-spot leap from number 15 in 2024. This recognition honors Colorado Springs as one of the nation's leading cities for economic performance. We're also ranked the number 5 best city in the country for veterans to live, and the number 8 most caring city in America. These accolades, these recognitions are not just accolades. They truly are the reflection of who we are, a community grounded in service, fueled by opportunity, and defined by care for one another. And while I'm proud of everything that we've accomplished this year, I'm even more excited for what lies ahead. I believe that our best days are still in front of us. And as we look to 2026, our focus is clear. And here are 3 major priorities that will actually help shape the upcoming year ahead. Number 1 is the launch of our Keep It Clean, Safe program, aka KCAS. You see, public safety remains foundational to everything we do. In 2026, we will launch the Keep It Clean and Safe KCAS program. This is a new initiative designed to provide proactive, on-the-ground support for businesses operating in the intersection of homelessness and commerce. KCAS builds on the positive progress of the downtown Clean and Safe pilot. Number 2, continued economic momentum at Peak Innovation Park. You see, Peak Innovation Park remains one of our most powerful hubs for job creation and business investment, and it will continue to be a cornerstone for our economic future. The momentum we have seen, even in just this past week, as I mentioned these 2 announcements, this is only the beginning. This shovel-ready site is poised to become the true economic engine for our entire city. And in the months ahead, February and March, you can expect more announcements coming out soon that will contribute to good paying jobs, and long-term opportunity for Colorado Springs. And the third item is a balanced approach to growth. Residents, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you. As our city is growing, we must ensure that we are balancing these bold economic opportunities also with the vibrancy of our neighborhood. So in 2026, we remain committed to balanced growth that is investing in our infrastructure and family-friendly neighborhoods while also embracing innovation, housing solutions, and economic development. And what this means is that we're going to focus on taking care of what we have, investing and strengthening our infrastructure, preserving the character of our neighborhoods, and using our resources wisely, sustainably. Growth done right strengthens communities instead of straining on them. And that is our commitment. And a bonus 2026 outlook, it shouldn't be a surprise. I always like to add in bonus it. So here's the bonus one, 2026 outlook. It's the 150 celebration. And that is the 250th anniversary of the United States and the 150th birthday of the state of Colorado. So I'm inviting all of the residents of America City. And when I say America City, we are Olympic City, USA. We're a proud military community. We have America's mountain. So we are America's city. And I'm inviting all the residents of America City to engage in this historic moment, to reflect on where we have been as a state and as a nation, to honor the sacrifices that shaped us and recommit ourselves to the values that unite us. This morning, in the spirit of that reflection, I actually had the honor of speaking at a naturalization ceremony where 29 new Americans took the oath of citizenship. As a naturalized citizen myself, this moment was deeply personal. And at a time when our immigration story can feel fragile, contested, or misunderstood, I want to say this clearly. We're still a nation of immigrants. The American dream is not lost. It is renewed every time someone raises their right hand and says, I choose this country. And as we approach our nation's 250th anniversary, we're called not only to remember our founding documents, but to reclaim our founding spirit. So in closing, 2025 showed us what's possible when Colorado Springs worked together. Even in the midst of challenges, we faced them head on, and we delivered real results in public safety, economic growth, and quality of life projects. And we positioned our city for an even stronger year ahead. But none of this happened alone. City employees, nonprofit leaders, businesses and business leaders, military partners, and residents across this great city made this progress possible. I remain deeply confident that our best days are still ahead. Thank you everyone who continues to believe in the city and in one another. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And here's to a safer, stronger, and more vibrant Colorado Springs in 2026. Onward and upward. At this time, I would like to open it up to the media partners for your questions.
So,
Allison.
you certainly touted a lot of economic vitality measures and attracting businesses to the city. One of the big stories this past year was this anticipated budget shortfall. Are the businesses you're attracting here going to make up for the budget issues that the city is facing or has faced in the last year?
That's a great question. The question is around the economic progress and if that's going to have any impact on our budget shortfalls. Our budget shortfalls are controlled, are affected by macroeconomic factors and indication. Consumer sentiment is low, historically low. I'm hearing some report that it's as low since the 40s, and that's just the appetite of residents and consumers to spend money. So as the feds do their thing, we're doing our thing locally. And when it comes to trying to increase the city's budget and also improve with affordability, we're going after projects that really do both of those things. They provide good paying jobs for residents who live in this city. And as these projects come online, and as imagine Swire Coca-Cola starts to spend that $476 million in this city, to get that up and running, the city definitely benefits from it. So we are looking forward to the impact of many of these wins from last year, this year, to see how they will potentially impact 2026, 2027, and beyond.
President last night was touting, saying that the economy is the best it's been. Do you agree with his assessment of the economy, especially as we've been seeing our own budget issues?
No, that's a great question, and that's that the chatter that's happening in the court of public opinion. Some will say that we're still yet to see the impact of tariffs in the near future and how that benefits our economy. Others will say the tariffs are hurting their businesses, and small businesses are the most impacted by these tariff decisions. I can't speak to any of that, but what I can speak to is that what we're doing in Colorado Springs and the work that I have been elected to do, and to ensure that we are straightening affordability, ensuring that we have more economic opportunities. Because here's the thing, as the state of Colorado becomes more expensive to live in, we have to make sure we're bringing down the cost as housing as much as we can, and also providing more job opportunities so people can afford to live in this community. So there's a federal conversation, but there's also the local conversation and the things that I have that are at my control, or how I get to move the needle in this economic story.
Some positions were eliminated as a result of the budget impacts.
That's correct.
Do you foresee those positions coming back?
Eventually, I think our residents would probably agree. They would like to see government grow in the right way in the areas that are primarily around safety, our infrastructure, and taking care of our incredible natural assets. So we're going to grow the right way, and it's my intent that these positions that they're to come back, but also the right positions. I don't believe, Allison, we're going to bring everything back. We're gonna approach every single future hire strategically in terms of ensuring that every position directly meets the needs of our community. So yes, expect us to grow. Expect us to grow in the right way in the areas that are most important to our residents, but also the areas that are directed by the city charter and the city code that says this is the job of a mayor and this is what you should be doing.
Well,
So,
if
that will go.
sorry, if the city has employees doing furloughs, if the city's doing better financially throughout the year, is there talk of giving the employees you don't have to do as many furloughs?
Right.
Is that something that's being considered?
Yeah, that's a conversation my directors have asked, and I don't know. It's hard to if that decision does come about, that it would have to involve city council, because it's a shared responsibility when we talk about the budget. But right now, that is not the plan. Right now, I think the thing that you said, the first part of the question is what I'm most interested in. If the city does better, I want our economy to get better. I want people to start spending more money, and then I want us to do a lot better than we projected. That would be truly incredible. And then we can get to that if the city does better. Now, what do we do with these extra revenues that we weren't planned on? But I will tell you, beyond just furlough, whether or not we choose to honor all 5 to 7 furloughs, if we do better, a lot of that money is going to be reinvested in the community, because that is why we exist as city government, is for the people, ensure that we are able to protect and ensure we're investing in those critical services that our residents need and want. Yes.
Question and a double question for you. First, the local question. The city published a very long report on the housing shortage,
Yes,
saying that we could be short about 60,000 houses by 2035.
that is correct.
In that document, there's about 50 pages of different recommendations to address that. Are there any of those recommendations specific that the city is planning on utilizing in the next year?
Absolutely. That's the short of the answer. I'm grateful for that big report, but if we don't condense it into actionable items, then it just sits on the shelf. And that is the next step, is diving deep, doing a deeper dive to look at those list of recommendations and to start with the lowest hanging fruit opportunities. It's an outside consultant. That's what they do. They tell you everything. Now it's our job to take that information, digest it, and translate it into what we can do, especially on the low-hanging fruit opportunities. And that process was also, we said yes to it in part because of our partnership with the state and our ability to tap into Prop 123 funding and other funding mechanisms. This will invest in communities who have a plan. And to say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so that gives us a plan, but ultimately what you can expect is a more condensed, actionable items that we can execute in year 1, year 2, year 3, and beyond.
Just a quick follow-up on that.
Yes.
What would be the timeline on finding out what those reasonable items would be?
I would say first quarter, yeah.
So we're starting it this quarter, and it actually may take throughout the year to finalize all of that. It's actually gonna be this whole coming year where we're gonna be creating that housing action plan is the name, and that'll be so we found the illness, now we need to figure out what the treatment's going to be.
Thank you, Max. Max beat me to it. I was going to say Q1, Q2, quarter 1, quarter 2. You should expect to see something. But that said, we're not sitting and waiting for the state to tell us to do a housing needs assessment. What actually most impressed with that whole process, because it sounds like you've been following, is that we were told that the city is short 27,000 units today. And you're right, it's a lot more by 2035. We already knew that. If you remember a year and a half ago, I asked the Common Sense Institute to do a similar research. And guess what that result said? 27,000 units short. So we've been taking that information and also been acting on it. So we're not waiting for the housing needs assessment. We are moving forward with our housing solution. I just talked about 1,700 affordable housing units for seniors and young families. We're still going to keep pressing, and not public yet, but one of our local non-profit developers just received a sizable amount of money from the state, Prop 123, that we supported to help ensure that we can build more housing. So 2 things are going on right now simultaneously. We're moving the needle. There's more that we can do, for sure. And then we're going to leverage this action step from the housing needs assessment to actually hopefully fine-tune our current strategies. Yes, your federal question.
Okay. It's starting to look like a bit of a pattern of the federal government moving different federal operations out of the state. Just yesterday it was announced that there's dismantling of the National Center of Atmospheric Research, and there's possible things on the horizon for different areas of the state, including here in Colorado Springs. What are you doing, and what are your communications with the federal government looking like to prevent further moving of operations out of this region?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the heart of your question is connected to U.S. Space Command decision. Now, that's a big one. That's a big bragging rights decision. And I was clear that while that's a disappointing loss, the ecosystem around our defense economy, both from the government side and the private side, it's still strong. I mean, in fact, the announcement just 2-3 days after President Trump's announcement was a woman-owned business to expand in Colorado Springs. So I'm really excited about that. I can't speak into the commander-in-chief and their decisions around what they move, but one of the things you need to know is that there's an incredible amount of defense and military assets in Colorado Springs, literally hundreds. When that decision to move Space Command was made, 2 weeks later I had a meeting with the 4-star general in charge of Space Command, General Whiting. And one of the things he told me is like, yeah, Space Command is moving to Huntsville, Alabama, but the number of Space Command assets that remain in Colorado Springs and are not going anywhere. And I listed those during my State of the City. So the point I'm making is that there's hundreds of assets, and the federal government will continue to rearrange based off of what they feel that will, the decision that will in the best interest of our nation's safety. I get that because as mayor and leader of this great city, I am constantly rearranging opportunity, functions and opportunities to maximize effectiveness. I don't believe any of those decisions will have a big impact to the city of Colorado Springs that we know of. And if the one that you mentioned was big enough, many of the generals who I'm in regular monthly communication with, including General Ellis, we're having our conversation today. He's the head of Fort Carson. I'm usually one of the first to know. So that tells me that most recent decision is perhaps it's not as big in terms of the impact to our community. So two things. Colorado Springs will continue to be a strong defense and military city. And two, the federal government will continue to make decisions around what they feel is in the best interest of our nation's safety. And I will ensure that we have a great relationship with the feds, but also working to ensure that Colorado Springs remains an incredible city for our military partners. That is something that we have control over. I may not be able to tell the president, don't move this, but what I can do is let's make it hard for the feds to make a decision to make any kind of moves away from this community, because we're still a top community for military, number 5 veteran city in the country, and that is the work that my team and I will continue to do.
Doesn't it mean still less money for Colorado Springs? We're going to be losing out on billions of dollars from Space Command Rescue in the future, a few years down the road?
That's a great question. My understanding is the financial impact of Space Command's leaving the city is actually minimal. What I learned is that a U.S. Space Operations Command. So this is the personnel side of our Space Force operation. They're the ones actually, and they're still here. I believe they just changed their name. Jason, you remember what they know what they're called now? They're no longer U.S. Space Command Operations Command, SPOC. Oh, how about you do that symbol? But that group actually has more financial decision-making power, contracting authority. And so, again, the military world is very complicated. And in the civilian world, it is hard for us to keep up or to know, does this have a financial impact or not? I mean, sometimes people still get Space Command and Space Force confused. I've even heard that Space Force is moving. Space Force is not moving. We have 2 Space Force bases. And so I don't know completely, but with Space Command particularly, my understanding is it doesn't have a big financial impact to our community. There's always some impact, but the question is whether or not it's going to have a big impact. Allison?
So January legislative session is going to pick back up. Is there anything you're watching and that potential impact that it could have here in Colorado Springs? And what are those bills?
Yeah, I mean, we're always watching. Unfortunately, we have way too many bills that are always being proposed, and it feels like our job is constantly fighting and pushing back. I have a monthly call with the governor and 2 other mayors, the mayor of Denver and the mayor of Aurora. We have this monthly call, and when we get into legislative session, we're typically talking about the bills that we believe will have the most impact on our communities. And that's what's great about those monthly calls, because you have a Republican mayor from Aurora, you have a Democrat mayor from Denver, and then you have an independent mayor. And typically, if the 3 of us are united on an issue, that the governor hears that as, okay, this is really important because it transcends politics. One of the things that I proposed in that meeting, and something that we're actively looking at, Allison, and we do this annual joint letter ahead of the kickoff of the legislative session, which I believe is January 15th this year. One of the focus that I proposed is around the retail crime theft, and whether I talked about the intersection of homelessness and commerce and our small businesses that are struggling because of the crime activity that are connected with some of our unhoused residents. And so we're trying to push. I formed a bipartisan, I convened a bipartisan group from our state legislators to join me on a tour as we visited local businesses, and some of them are minority businesses, and to just understand the impact of not being able to hold repeat offenders accountable. And that's one of the things that we will be pushing for this time around. I don't know if we're going to get it, but like construction defect, we're going to keep working at it, because this impacts real people, real families, and selfishly it impacts the city, because if businesses are not flourishing, the city doesn't have the revenues to take care of its residents. So we will be not only paying attention to the bills, believe me, there'll probably be many, I don't know what those are right now, that will potentially hurt our community, but we'll also be pushing for bills that will benefit and move us forward as a community. And as always, Allison, home rule authority is always at the top of the list. We are extra sensitive to laws that take our own authority to be able to make decisions that are in the best interest for Colorado Springs resident. So whatever those negative bills are, we're going to be fighting for home rule authority.
Any other questions?
This is more of just like a contextual
Yes.
conversation. I was talking with Bill Folsom about this yesterday. And one of the things
Oh,
he brought
Bill.
up was, it's been a pretty dry season for us at the end of the year. So snowplows haven't been used a ton.
Right.
We had like that little bit of snow a few weeks ago. What happens like with that money that's been budgeted for the season? Like, does it roll over to next year? Is it tapped into a reserve?
That's a great question. What I don't know the answer to that, but what I can tell you is that we've never had a year where we say we got surplus amount of money that we don't use. There's always our budget is so limited. It's one of the reasons, Allison, we have these special tax initiatives like PPRTA for capital improvement project, 2C for potholes, and PSST for public safety, and TOPS for parks. Our budget is really small. 420 million doesn't get you a whole lot. I was actually in Salt Lake City before Thanksgiving at the National League of Cities conference, and I was meeting with the mayor of Salt Lake City, and they had just passed a budget. I said, how big is your budget for a city smaller than ours, about 350, 2.2 billion. Compare that to our own 420 and some change. And let me put into perspective, with our special tax initiative, together we're still under $1 billion, about just over 900. So all that to say is if we don't have the same amount of snow like we did this time last year, I think it was between November 2024 and June 2025, we had record amounts of snow and rain, and that has really contributed to the potholes that you see in our community. But if we have excess money, we're just going to keep using it in other infrastructure projects and other priorities that we need. This is what we do in city government. In the libertarian community, we're always making those decisions around rearranging what's the most effective and cost-effective decision. So I promise you there will not be any extra money. And the last thing I will say about that too is many of our special tax initiatives, what I love about this community, many of our special tax initiatives, the residents have expectation of me and our residents. So typically, for example, public safety sales tax, our residents are not saying take all of this, 100% of this money for public safety. They're saying that, but they're also saying 47.5 of that has to be matched from the general fund. So a lot of those special tax initiatives have strings attached. So let's just say for an infrastructure measure, and let's say we have more money in the infrastructure budget and the expectation is 40%, we will fulfill that 40%, but guess what? Now we get to go to 45%. Our goal is not just to make the minimum, but to go over and above in our own investment. And that's what we've done with public safety sales tax. We're above that 47% match from general funds. We are over 50% right now. So at the end of the day, any extra money will be reinvested in our city's flourishing. Great question. Any other thing? Anybody else?
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I will say that we've had a lot of dry earlies, and then there's spring snowstorms, like taxes. So it does,
February and March, like usually.
yeah, it does save like our ice slice, all that other stuff like that costs money to use. You don't have to use it to save money. But what we'll find sometimes the spring storms will come in and it'll be a week and that'll like wipe out.
It's hard
the
to predict,
savings.
yeah.
So we can't really speak ahead. This is a question we get a lot on, are you guys saving money? Are you saving manpower, all that? It can, but it is kind of, so like right now you're talking about money for this year. It's also about really looking at what happened to those storms in the spring. We had all that rain and all that snow and all those other things. We're in that same budget cycle. It won't be
And,
till
and,
January.
and to add to that, the same crew that does winter snowplow is the same crew that does our potholes. So we go back and forth. And so if we're not plowing snow, we still have roads to fix because the last season created all these new issues. And so, and that's exactly what I told the team last week. I said, with the weather, it's, we had a lot of snow and now it's warm again. I'm saying, I'm seeing more potholes emerge. We need to go back and make our focus on potholes. So we're never not doing anything. It's just a matter of what's the top priority at that moment.
Think about it, it's
Yeah.
brilliant. You know, it's either snowing, you're plowing, or it's not snowing and you can do plows. It works.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all.
Yes, it stays in Public Works. They will find, also Public Works, you know, is one of the places that helped us find budget reductions this year to find those savings. So also, once again, if for some reason there's additional money at the end, it's not exactly like they're unsure of like, especially this year, you know, where those, like, they can build, for example, they can fill up their ice slice. And that way they're prepared for next year for the budget. And that helps save dollars next year. So there's different ways. So I can get more specifics, but like, as the mayor said, they're very careful about that spending and that funding, and really the bigger issue would be, there's a ton of stuff, you know, and how do we cope with that? We get these questions every year since snow. We have 5 press briefings a year that you guys all love to come to, so.